Ka-chow's popping YouTube. So I was looking for a quick and easy read the other day, and so I cracked open a collection of Washinton Irvine stories that had been sitting on my bookshelf for a few months, and I decided to check out the original Headless Horseman story, and well, it actually ended up being a lot more interesting than I thought it would be, so let's get into it. So the story is taken from the records of one Mr. Knickerbocker. That's a fucking stupid name. Anyway, he's retelling this ghost story that was told to him by this other nutter about the town of Sleepy Hollow. So Sleepy Hollow is this small town in America, and this is pre-Civil War, post-Revolutionary War America. So America is still a very young country. Sleepy Hollow is this whack place full of ghosts and things. It is said to have an air of magic around it. There's a bunch of ghosts, like this one dude who was caught and killed by a tree. He was a prisoner or something. And this chick who died in the snow. And this
guy, the ghost with the axe.
And the Headless fucking Horseman, baby. So the Headless Horseman is the spooker-in-chief for Sleepy Hollow. He's said to be this Hessian soldier who got his head blown off during the Revolutionary War, and it's fabled that every night he rides off to this church that, backs out onto the old battlefield to go in search of his missing head, and then has to get back to his resting place before daybreak. So, pretty solid little ghost.
Ooh, I'm a ghost.
Oh, well.
So anyways, now we've got this preamble out of the way. The story is actually about this dude called Ichabod Crane and his quest to simp over this 19th century e-girl called Katrina. Ichabod is the local schoolmaster. He's also the singing master, leading the singing classes and singing lots of lovely psalms. He's also described as literally looking like a scarecrow. So, anyway, Fiddlesticks wants to get with Katrina, mostly for monetary reasons. So he's pretty shit. Unfortunately, there's this other guy he wants to get with Katrina as well. This absolute Chad called Brom Bones.
Bad to the bone.
That is a nickname, but it's still... That's a badass nickname, actually, I'll be honest. Anyway, so he's a bad boy. He was all buff as shit, and he's very into Katrina. But anyway, things get pretty real when there's this big party thrown by Katrina's rich dad. Both Ichabod and Brom Boner are going, but this time Ichabod decides that he's got to up his game and get with Katrina. So he's not only a great singer, he's actually also a great dancer. So Ichabod brings out the moves and dances with Katrina all night. Brom Bones looks, all out of it, and then Ichabod goes over to, where the lads are, and they're exchanging some ghost stories. Ichabod drops a couple of certified bangers of his own from his hometown, but Brom Bones tells a story of how one day when he was just out riding at night, as you do, this Headless Horseman showed up, and the two of them had a drag race, and Brom won because when he got to this bridge by the spooky church, the Headless Horseman just disappeared in a flash of brimstone. So anyway, the party comes to an end, and so Ichabod goes off to have a chat with Katrina because he's pretty sure, since they dance for a bit, that it's time to bang her for him to get all her estate's money. But she friend-zones him. We've all been there, mate. So anyway, Ichabod is riding home and getting all spooked because of the ghost stories. But then, the Headless Horseman shows up and starts chasing him. So Ichabod rides for his life and is chased towards the spooky church. However, something is a little sus about this horseman, because he actually has a head. It's just in his lap. Weird how this was never mentioned before. But anyway, Ichabod thinks that if he gets to the bridge Brom Bones talked about, then he'll be fine, as the horseman can't cross it. So he gets to the bridge, but the Headless Horseman just yeets his head at him and knocks him off his horse. The next day, Ichabod is completely MIA. His landlord is all weirded out, and he's like, where's Ichabod gone? And so he sets out to look for him, and some people find his hat and a smashed pumpkin by the side of this river. How strange. So anyway, a few theories are floated. Some dude says that he saw Ichabod in New York or someplace, and he was like a judge or something now, and that he was just upset because he got friend-zoned. The old Dutch wives claim that he's now haunting Sleepy Hollow as a ghost, singing his psalms spookily at night. And something interesting happens too, because after Ichabod disappears, Brom Bones marries Katrina, and whenever Ichabod is brought up, he sort of acts all knowing and smug, and when the people bring up the pumpkin, he sort of laughs about it. Interesting. Anyway, then the dude who's telling Knickerbocker the story says that he doesn't believe a word of it anyway, so who knows if this even happened. The end. So this story is extremely old, and as I was reading it, I was thinking, what the fuck is this? This is just two guys simping. Simp! But then the very end happened, like the last like 4 pages happened, and it managed to really capture my imagination, actually. Like, the chase scene is pretty tense, especially for a book this old. And the whole question of what actually happened is really cool, I think. I think it's fun when books do that. You know, the obvious question that keeps you thinking at the end is, what actually happened to Ichabod? Did he leave in disgrace? Did he get killed by the Headless Horseman? Or was it Brom Bones who bumped him off? I personally believe, when I read it, which was at time of recording about 2 hours ago, I personally believe that Brom Bones had him killed. Well, sorry, killed him. I personally believe that Brom Bones killed him, and my reasoning here is that, he was his only competitor for Katrina. I don't think he ever learned about the fact that Ichabod just got friend-zoned, so it adds a kind of layer of irony to the whole thing. There's his obvious smugness about the whole thing, which is obviously put in there so the reader knows, you know, like. But finally, this is my, like, detective mode. The entire thing about the horseman stopping at the bridge was told to Ichabod by Bones. That's the only place he gets the information from. So it makes it seem like he was telling him, like, that early, so he could trick him and get him to, like, think, if I just get to that bridge, I'm safe, and then he'd kill him. Because also the head was, like, the head that was thrown was clearly the pumpkin, right? That's just obvious. That's why in modern... I never appreciated where the pumpkin head for the Headless Horseman comes from. I didn't realize it was actually in the original story, which the book I have literally has a pumpkin on the front. So, maybe I'm just an idiot, but anyway, I never realized that came from the original story, so that's cool. Yeah, the head that was thrown was clearly the pumpkin, but the horseman was never ever mentioned actually having a head. Like, he's looking for his head, right? So that was when that happened. Like, I started reading it, I was like, okay, something's up here. Like, either he's found his head, or this is something else. I started paying attention to the story a lot then. And Bones was also set up as a very competent writer in his own story. But I'll be honest, after reading this, I hopped on Reddit for a bit to see how other people interpreted the ending, and I even saw there was a theory that Ichabod's landlord had him killed. Really open-ended ending, and got me thinking, which is what I really like books to do. I like books to end on sort of a you know, fill in the blanks kind of ending. I like that a lot. As far as themes go, don't be a simp. This goes without saying. But the story is actually so obtuse that it just literally has a character straight up tell the audience its theme. Or this could be just, like, really meta, like 200 years before metafiction would catch on. But basically the story says its own theme to the audience, and I'm just going to read it. Observe that the story was intended most logically to prove that there is no situation in life but has its advantages and pleasures, provided we will but take a joke as we find it. That, therefore, he runs races with goblin troopers is likely to have rough riding of it. Ergo, for a country schoolmaster to be refused the hand of a Dutch heiress is a certain step to high preferment in the state. Yeah, the book's quite old. Anyway. So yeah, it straight up tells the theme to the thing. That was word for word. It's oldie English. But overall, a fairly solid ghost story. It has that charm that I find all pre-1900s American fiction has to it. Like, it's the same charm you get from reading, like, H.P. Lovecraft, or even some old English stuff that takes place in America. America had this real charm to it before it became the, like, America as we know it now. Before, you know, the sort of military-industrial complex sort of took over the country. And it's just got this real charm to it. This real character, and it's such a small fraction of fiction that has this. I really enjoy it. I think it's a great little era for American fiction. This book is also, you know, it's a solid mystery story at the end. I think it's way too long at the beginning, but I don't think without that setup, I don't think you quite get the payoff. And it's surprisingly easy to read despite its age. Like, it's really not that bad for being over 200 years old. And when you consider this book and Frankenstein were only published 1 year apart, it is crazy how much easier this is to read than Frankenstein. But it's also crazy of just how meaningless this book is compared to Frankenstein. Like, go watch my video on Frankenstein, but, like, Frankenstein is so good. And this book is kind of whatever. But, well, it's not a book, it's a short story. Overall, I gave it a 3 out of 5. Not enough really happens for it to be too good, but it is a very short and sweet little read, and it's the origin of one of the most iconic ghosts in our sort of societal rogues gallery. So, I think it's a cool little read. And yeah. And remember to like and share and subscribe to this channel. I promise I will be back to posting a bit more regularly again. And if you want to check out a modern short story, you can check out one of mine, The Court of the Carrion King. It's available free on my website. There's a link below. Perfect for a train ride or a bus ride or something.